Masterclass. I'm your Trail Ravenel, your hostess with mostess, the life and marriage transformation scientist, and I help women to transform their lives from the inside out so that they can live the life that they truly desire. As you all know, I'm very passionate about marriages. I'm passionate about individuals thriving in their marriages. Right now, we have a divorce rate of 50%, and I believe over 50%, and I have a problem with that. I have a personal problem with that. I have a problem with us as believers not being able to be in sustainable marriages. I have a problem as far as an individual of us not being able to be healthy and strive in our marriages. But what I do know is that it doesn't come just by happenstance. I do know that there are things that we're predisposed to. I do know that there are environments that we may have grown up in and things that may have happened in our life that contributes to the failure of our marriages. And that's why we're here today. We're here to have that conversation. We're here to go deeper. Because what I do understand is that the better you are, the better your marriage is going to be. And I have individuals come to me and they're like, oh, can you and your husband talk to me and my husband? And do you guys do counseling and all of that? I'm like, yeah, we can talk. We can have a conversation. But what I do understand is that it's you, right? You are the contributor. I need to talk to you as an individual. My husband to talk to your husband perhaps as an individual. But we need to see where you are individually. Because the marriage is only as good as the two people that are in it. I'm going to say that again. The marriage is only as good as the two people in it. So it's not that the marriage has a problem, right? It's the individuals that need to figure out and work on some things inward in order for them to be able to contribute to the marriage as a whole. So I'm excited about being here today. We have a fun, engaging activity planned. Hey, Shayla. And I am recording, but the recording is just on me, so it won't be on you guys. But I do want everybody to introduce themselves so people will know. Tell me, why are you here? So tell me your name. Tell me, why are you here? And tell me what you expect to get out of this class. I guess that's the same question. But yeah. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle.
Stand up.
Okay. That's fine. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle. And I, want to know personal stuff with me. I'm from Charleston. I'm a registered nurse. I'm at MSC 30 years. I've been married 6 years.
Awesome.
A few years ago, I had this most miraculous thing happen to me. My mother was 91 years old, and she said, you can't have a baby looking at me, looking to your husband's eyes. I said, Mom, this Shelley, I'm almost 50. I'm not having a kid. Not so, she says. And she passed, wonderful life, nothing bad about dying at 91. And I started getting ready for the bridge run. I lost 131 pounds. I'm doing
awesome.
I'm like, okay, my stomach, I'm like, I gotta get rid of these abs, something's not right.
Wow.
And so I go to my friends. When you've been in the profession a long time, you consult with your friends, who's my doctor. And I said, Ashley, you gotta help me. I don't feel like myself. So she said, you and your mother are tight, you may be depressed. So she wanted me to be treated for depression. I'm saved. My mother's 91 and saved. There's nothing depressing about that. So I'm like, no, I don't think that's what it is. So I go back again. And she said, well, let's just run some tests and see what's going on. And I thought I had an ulcer from taking too much Motrin. And she said, Shelley, it's a little bit more serious than that. I said, well, what is it, a tumor? She said, no, a baby. I said, a baby tumor? Wow! So I'm 50, I got a 3-year-old, and I was married 19 months. And so I'm trying to figure it all out. Wow. Most of my friends are divorced. I don't have a lot of, I won't say they're believers, but they're not walking in the environment, in my work environment. So I don't have anybody to relate anything to. So when I saw somehow you posted on my thread in December, and I started following, and I did the 31 days.
Watch the warfare.
I got involved in that. And I'm just reaching, trying to connect myself with believers. And it's a difference how you communicate with your single friends than your not single friends. Because I was that person, And I told all of my girlfriends after I got married, you tricked me. Because the grass looked green on the other side. This thing is work. So I said, where's the manual?
I mean, it's...
Somebody tell me where's the manual.
Yes.
So I wanted to be in fellowship and just learn more. November will be 6 years I've been married. I have a 3-year-old son. And I'm trying to figure it all out.
Yes.
I just don't have all the answers in this work. Yeah. I've never worked at something so hard in my life. I mean, I'm a nurse. I can multitask. This is what I do all day long. But this here? Yeah. This is work. Yeah. And I interviewed my family, people who had tenure, and everybody had a story. My first 2 years, my uncles and my were in cruise control. So that's all I saw.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. That's all I wanted. It's a different ballgame.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm learning. So here to fellowship and learning.
Thank you.
That's
Awesome.
it.
Give her a hand, you guys. Shayla.
Okay. I truly apologize for coming in late.
You're
I'm a
fine.
little tardy. However, I map quested wrong, so some sort of way or another, I had myself at 30 minutes. And inside the car, I was like, oh my God, you're 57 minutes away. So I didn't time it correctly.
That's okay. You made it.
But this is my second marriage. I married the first time when I was 19 years old, and I pretty much crashed and burned. So I wanted to do it differently on my second go around with my new husband. We've been married a little over a year now. And we have a big blended family. I married a man who had 3 baby mamas and never been married. And that was, blending the two families together is very hard. So with the help of Cheryl, helped me out a lot. Just talking to her and being able to, again, fellowship with other people through social media. And actually, this is like probably the second time I actually registered. This is the first time I actually made it to the class today. And it seemed like everything was trying to get in my way.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. And what I'm willing to look for or something to take away is just better communication.
Yeah.
That's my goal anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to meet you all.
And Shayla's my cousin. Like, for real.
Hello everyone, my name is Felicia. I've been married 3 years and I'm just looking to gain, better communication skills with my husband and just to gain other nuggets, just to know how to strengthen my marriage.
Absolutely. Thank you, Felicia.
I'm Tiffany Green. I am not married,
Yes.
but I am dating someone. So I'm just here to gain nuggets
Yeah.
because it's looking like it's going to lead to that. So I want to get as much nuggets as I can.
Yeah.
So that's my
Congratulations to you for taking that step. Most single women, they don't realize that they need information beforehand. I'm not married yet, but you need it before you get married.
That's
So when
right.
you apply, just like a degree, we go to school, we might not immediately apply it, but we need that information at some point, right? Bonnie.
Hello
165.
everyone.
Hey.
Hey. My name is Bonnie. I'm Savani on Facebook because I become friends with someone on Facebook. I've been married May will make 15 years.
Woo! Wow. High school sweetheart.
Yes, that.
We all went to school together.
Yes, we did. And just to piggyback on what she said, my parents been married, I think 40 years, and how you see things cruise control. That's how I went into my marriage, and we were just existing. We weren't living, and I think I saw Trell, a blog or something, maybe like 3 years ago. This is like my third class. But I'm here to dig deeper because I tap in, I tap out, but I realize when I do come in and be connected, my marriage is getting stronger. For the 15 years that we've been married, it seemed like we just started connecting the last 3 years when I started tapping on, gaining nuggets and things like that. So I'm here to build it so I can continue and be consistent with that.
Absolutely amazing. And that's just like working out. We work out. When we're working out, everything is working. We're eating healthy, we're doing all this. But as soon as we stop, as soon as we tap out, we go back to our old ways, our old habits, and things start to continue to happen. So it's the same thing. Hey, guys. We're just introducing ourselves and telling everybody why you're here.
I apologize for being late.
You're fine.
It's my busiest.
You're fine.
I'm Tamika Gaddis. I just turned 42.
Woo woo. All right.
My husband and I been married. September will be 5 years. We've been together for 8 because we did date for 4 years. And yes, I shacked with him for 4 years by choice. We have a blended family. Yes,
So y'all need to connect.
it is tough. But if I had to go back and do anything different, I wouldn't change a thing. God is good. Cheryl was my mentor. I met Jill and Cheryl in my 3rd year dating my husband. And I just knew at that point I was connected with people that I couldn't see the vision then, but I said, this is, because I'm very intentional about who my surrounding. So when I pray, it's very strategic about, I don't want to be in a place just coincidental. I need God to divinely line that up for me, because I'm a person that I will check out quick. Like I don't feel that I need friends, because I will just contaminate with the people that I have. So I'll check out. But I had to learn to step out of that realm. And by me doing that with Jill and Trill, I can't even begin to tell you that my marriage is spin out of control in a positive way. Things that I could not even imagine me seeing on a level with my blended children, because it was so much bumping heads in the home. But now when I meet people, even though I do win, it's been around for a long time and people just tap it in. And say, for instance, if I didn't come for 5 meetings, and I will pick up things today to enhance my marriage. She's full of knowledge. I'm a person that I like to gravitate to knowledge. So with that being said, any walk of life that you're in, this ministry can definitely build. And it takes steps and it takes work. But she doesn't like to say work, it's an investment of what you want to do. I'm very happy to even have the time to sit in with this, because time is valuable.
Yes.
I thank God for each and every one of you that has, invested time in this and in your marriage.
Man, thank you. She's one of the founding sisters ambassadors with Deeper Movement and also Life to Win, because when God gave me this, like Mika was on board, she was on point, she was at every class, she was supporting, she was bringing a cooler, she was doing all of this, and I really saw, how valuable she was to me, to our ministry, and as a valuable friend. So I really do thank her for everything, and the fact that she not only shows up, but she invests. She gave her time, she gave her energy, and she gave her resources, and you can't ask for a better friend than that. So thank you so much, Mika, for everything. And Sarissa.
Hi, everyone. I am Sarissa Hugie, and Michelle, I thought you looked familiar to me, but I'm a nurse practitioner now. I work in psychiatry. I have been married for 12 years. And my husband is wonderful and great, but we were talking earlier, we are in a different season in our marriage, and so because we're in a different season, there are more demands on us in terms of ministry and career, and so we're having some challenges trying to figure out how all that works together, because I want to stay married. So I'm hoping to gain some nuggets about communication, and just as you all said, you have to keep working at it no matter how long you're married. You can't just get lax, because the enemy is always looking for ways to creep in. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go deeper.
Yes. Woo! All right, we're highly engaged, highly energetic, and I want you guys to talk with me, talk back to me. I like to talk, but I don't want to be the only one talking during this course. So who's ready to go deeper?
I'm ready.
So the whole basis and the whole purpose of this class is for us to go deeper. And what I want you to be able to discover who you are today is who you are right now. How did I come to be this woman that I am right now? Many of you may have said at some point or another, I act like my mom, I act like my dad, I have tendencies of my brother, or whoever the case may be, right? How many of you said that? You have certain characteristics or certain personalities. So what I want you to find out today is, where did you come from? What is your family of origin? Right? So these questions today, we're going to answer, because what I want us to be able to do is to draw a picture of our lives. And what you see here is a genogram symbol sheet. And basically a genogram is a tool used to spot patterns of mindset, behavior, emotions throughout the generation of your family. So you may say, well, I act like my mom, or I act like my dad, but why is that? Right? Where did that even come from? Why do we have the same thought process when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to raising our children? You have some parents that grew up in homes and they yelled at their children a lot of days. Now you yell at your children, right? You have some people that grew up in homes where they were disconnected from the children. You may have had a workaholic father or a workaholic mother, and although they physically provided for the children in the household, they were emotionally absent. So now guess what? You're emotionally absent. Right? You're there as a provider, you're there as a giver, but you don't know how to connect with the children. Even if you grew up in the household and you had parents that were married or parents that were not married, you did not get You did not get a quality advantage when it came to relationships and how you're supposed to get connected, intertwined with your husband, right? Because even in my household, my parents were married, but I didn't see my parents hug. I didn't see kissing. I didn't see any interaction, any affection, anything. You know, they worked and they provided for us and they loved us as parents, but I didn't see any of that. And guess what? I thought that was normal. I thought that's normal. You know, you're married and you just coexist, right? So I even found, even in my own marriage, that sometimes I can just coexist. Sometimes I can be on autopilot, right? We're in the same household. You know, we're running circles around one another. That's fine. But there's things that you have to do to engage. But when you don't understand why you are the way you are, then you don't know what to do about it. Because you just think, well, this is how I am. This is just the way I am. But when you're not able to connect, communicate, engage, and be intimate with your partner, then that's a problem. And we need to find out why, where that came from. So today the genogram is going to help you and myself discover, identify history of mental illness, if that is there. We've got mental health practitioner, not that I set you up for that, sis, but it's just, this is just what it is. But hey, you know, highlight patterns of behavior. More so, we want to highlight patterns of behavior, predictable and unpredictable behavior. Also, highlight pattern of relationship styles, right? I talked earlier about, you know, how you may have saw your mother and your father interact or not, if they were not in your life, or either one was not in your life. So why is this necessary, and how does this apply to your marriage? Okay, so of course, for mental health reasons, we want to know what and how we think. Why do we think the way that we think? Right? Why do we feel the way that we feel? You know, I used to always say that I'm not an affectionate person. But why? Because my parents were not affectionate. I didn't see affection, you know, even with us as their children. I didn't have the father that put his arms around me and say, I love you, daughter. Love to me was him taking care of me, making sure that I was okay. So guess what I did? I went and dated a man that took care of me and made sure that I was okay. And unfortunately, I got myself into this very toxic, unhealthy relationship because I was looking for somebody to make sure that I was okay. And although I had my father there. So when my father died 3 days before my 18th birthday, and although I was in this very abusive, very toxic, and very unhealthy relationship, I stayed there for a little too long. And it almost cost me my life, like literally. So I didn't even understand, and even when it came to staying there, I saw my mom stay there because there were some things that my father did that he should not have done in the marriage, but my mom stayed there. So even with that, I thought anything can happen, and I'm just gonna stay, right? That's what marriage is all about. You just stay, you just take it, you endure. Because guess what? That's what our parents or our grandparents may have taught us, or that's what we caught. They may not have came out of their mouths and said that, but we saw grandpa have 5 kids outside the marriage and grandma stayed with him, right? We saw great-grandpa, grandpa abuse his power or his authority or misuse his leadership, and then they stayed together. So we get in relationships, and this is not a encouragement for divorce, so please don't take it like that, but I'm just giving you the foundation. We get into relationships or even marriages, and things happen, and we just stay, and we accept it and think it's okay, but it's not okay. And even if we have to address those things within ourselves or address those things within our partner, then that's what we need to do. And hoping and understanding that your partner has, he's an understanding person and he'll listen to what you have to say and you guys want to work at the marriage, and these are things that we have to do together, right? For your physical health as well. What do you do in any free of illness and injury, nutritional factors, weight, dental, and all of that stuff? You know, we like to say that diabetes and hypertension and all of these things are hereditary. And what I do know is that what's hereditary is the lifestyle choices. You know, some things you are predisposed to, some things, you know, maybe you may be affected more than other people based on your bloodline and things of that nature. But what happens is because mom and dad ate unhealthy and I had an unhealthy lifestyle, right? Then that's what you create for your own self. I often say that we ate good. We did. We had 3 meals a day, but what we were eating were foods that were fatty foods, heavy starch, heavy carbs, things that were not healthy. So when I got my own household, I did the same thing. So when you're talking about hypertension and all of these illnesses and sicknesses and diseases that comes from food, because we are what we eat, that's what we inherit. The same mindset, the same emotional being, that's what we inherit. So we have to understand that our life is the way that it is because somebody already set the foundation for us. Now, whether that foundation was good or bad, that's the question that we have to answer. And then we also have to ask ourselves, what do I I need to do differently? If I see that my parents were not great at communication and clearly not good at intimacy, what do I need to do different? How do I need to show up differently? And the thing is, we have to be honest with ourselves, because what we don't like to do is self-reflect. We don't like to look at ourselves and say, I am a problem, right? The issue is with me. Because it's so much easier to blame the other person. I know for me, when I got my marriage, it was so easy for me to look at my husband and tell him that he was the issue, because I felt that I was so spiritually mature. I felt because I had a relationship with God, I was already walking into my ministry, I was already doing things in life to be impactful to the world. So when things were happening and we would get in arguments and all of this stuff, I'm like, you're the problem, it's your fault, you're not praying, you're not doing this. But God had to sit me down and say, no, it's you. It's you. I'm not saying he does not have issues, but there are some things that you have to deal with in you. So whether that came from your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather, we have to look at those areas of our life and know that it's not okay, right? It's not okay for us to be judgmental. It's not okay for us to be emotionally absent. It's not okay for us to shut down. It's not okay for us to withdraw. But all of these things is patterns of behavior, and the behavior that we saw growing up, be it again in our household or outside of our household. And you can think about it right now. What did you see growing up in your life that you do right now? This can be how you spend money, how you manage money, how you mismanage money, how you talk to your children, how you engage with your children, how you give too much to your children. It can be so many different things, and we have to sit back and realize how these things are affecting our lives. So one of the things we're going to do, even in this exercise, is we're going to identify our shadow. Anyone want to guess what I mean by that when I say identify your shadow? What do you think that means? What would be your shadow? Your what?
Go ahead. No, your imperfection. Like you taking a second to step out of yourself and say, you need to adjust your spending habits or your weight or whatever the case may be. You're taking a second to really self-check.
Yeah, that's good. Anybody else?
Who we're following. When I think about shadow, that's what I think about.
Yeah.
Or to alter egos.
Yeah, the you who you don't really that's there, but you may not really see, but it's present. You know, but if you look close enough, you can see your shadow. You can see the shadows.
Yes, you can see bits and pieces of that person. That person that struggles with anger, right? That person that withdraws, right? You can look and see, okay, that person that may be manipulated, you know, at times, may operate in some level of deceit, may even operate in some level of lying. You know, we call them the little white lies. I've even found myself just doing certain things that I know is not the character of God. But I thought it was not only the protection of my marriage, but also the protection of me. Like making even little decisions when it came to money or little things and not telling all, well, he didn't ask, or, you know, it's really nothing to tell. But why would I not tell? Why would I not share? That's a form of deceit, regardless of how you look at it, right? So we have to ask ourselves those questions, even if, you know, you're buying things and you're putting it in the closet and pretending that it was already there, and lying and say you already had it for a long period of time and don't stepping on some toes. That's lying and that's deceitful. Even if you don't share finances, because with me, you know, when my husband and I first got married, we tried to share finances, but it didn't work out for us. Because being the type of person I was, very independent, I already had my son and I already had a certain way that I lived and I spent money, not that it was a good way, but I didn't want to have to answer to anybody. That was me. I didn't want to have to answer to anybody. I didn't want to have to tell somebody why I was doing what I was doing, when I was doing it. Like, I didn't want that. So I'm like, we're not gonna commingle funds. And now that we're commingling funds, it's like, oh God, I never have any money. And when I want to do something, like he gives me this little allowance, but I need that. And honestly, at first I didn't understand that I needed that. Because I thought he was just trying to control me, and he was trying to control the money, and the enemy was telling me, oh, he's just trying to control you, he wants to control the money, he wants to be over everything. But honestly, it was like he was better at it than I was. Because if I see it, and if I want something, I'm going to spend it. Right? I'll spend, and it's not even shopping. And stuff. That's the thing, it's not even shopping. It's like if I want a book, I'm going to buy a book, I'm going to get a t-shirt, I'm going to buy some granola from a girl a fondling. Like, I'm gonna do certain little things that I wanna do, and all my allowance is gone. And once it's gone, I don't wanna go talk to him and ask him, like, I need more. Because then he's gonna give me like a 3rd degree, what did I do with the money, and da da da. And like, I don't even wanna deal with that, so I try to hold on to my little funds for as long as possible and do other little things so that I can have money to do what I wanna do. You know, even the trips I'm taking, he's like, who's paying for that? Who's paying for that? Who's paying for that? The detour movement paying for that? I'm like, oh my God. So, you know, I have to be creative in that regard and also look at how I was doing things beforehand. It's like, it's not my world anymore. You know, my son's married, he has his wife, you know, they don't need me. Yeah, he's married. What? So, he's married, he has a wife, and they have their condo, and they're doing well, so he doesn't need me in that capacity anymore. So I have to be very mindful of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So the definition of the shadow is an accumulation of untamed, listen to this, untamed, less than pure motives and thoughts that, while largely unconscious, strongly influence and shape your behaviors. It is the damaged but mostly hidden version of who you are. The damaged but mostly hidden version of who you are. Because we are our experiences, yes. We are our environment, we are what we've been taught to be. You know, when you're a little child, when you're in the household, your parents have the most influence over you. Then you go out into the world, you go to preschool and first grade, middle school, and things of that nature. Those teachers, your peers, have influence over you. Then you go off to college, perhaps, or you may go in the military or a trade school or do something else. And those people have the greatest influence over you. Then you get out in your workspace. Those people then have the greatest influence over you. But who had the most influence over your life when you were between the ages of 5 and 12 years old? Those people that were seeing you every single day, giving unto you every single day, pouring into you every single day, whether it was good or bad. That's what you saw. The habits that I have, the behaviors that I have, they're all from my mother and my father, from my grandmother. Everything. And I'm looking at my life now, and I'm like, wow. I didn't realize everything in who I am today is that. I know that we are saved, we love God, but our bloodline, we can't look away from that. Yeah, we've been redeemed, we've been washed in the blood of Jesus, and we're a part of the royal family, but we still have a natural family. We still have a natural bloodline that we have to deal with, and a lot of times, the blessings and the sins of our family go back 3 and 4 generations. 3 and 4 generations. I was asking my mom some things about our family today, and some habits that I saw, and some patterns I saw when it came to money, when it came to addiction, when it came to relationships and how we engage or not with our significant others. And what I found is that that was a trend in the family. So it wasn't just something that started with me, it was a trend in the family. So Christianity saves us, but it doesn't erase the truth of our past. And a lot of times we want to pray over it, right, sis? We want to shout over it. We want to speak tongues on it, over it. We want to lay hands over it. But we got to deal with it. We have to not only understand that it's there, but we have to be willing to do something about it. Somebody say, do something.
Do something.
Say, do something.
Do something.
We have to take action. So if you really say, okay, I came here because I want to understand how to communicate better. I want to understand how to have more intimacy. Let's figure out why it's not there. Let's ask that question. Why is it not there? What happens in my marriage to whereas if we do have a conversation, it turns into an argument? Why? Or it turns into a heated fellowship moment, or we become distant, I become defenseless or defensive. What happens and why is that there? Those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. That's the self-reflection that I'm talking about. And those are things that I do often because when me and my husband still have moments of heated fellowship, I'm like, why did we have that? Like, what happened? What could have been done differently? Immediately, like I get convicted immediately. God don't even give you a day or 2 days to think about it. Like it's like immediately when something happens, he automatically shows me. Even still when I want to say it's your fault, you should have did this, you should have did that. And he's like, what could you have done? What could you have done differently? Right? Your feelings, you're sensitive. And one thing God showed me just recently, and I always knew when I did a Facebook Live on this, I experienced a lot of trauma in my life. Unfortunately, again, I was in a very abusive, very toxic relationship. And as a result of that, I experienced a lot of trauma, physical trauma, verbal trauma. And although I was healed, I am whole, and I have forgiven, I didn't understand the aftermath of the trauma. And that aftermath was still present in the retrospect of it can still affect my life, how I think, how I feel, how I respond or not respond to my husband. And God had to show me that. God had to show me the manipulative tendencies that I picked up even from that individual, being deceitful, being hurtful, all of those things. Because I was in this space and in this environment for over a decade. And because he poured into me so much, and although, again, yes, I'm saved, and yes, I've been redeemed, and yes, I renew my mind every single day, but the fact that the trauma was present, it doesn't take that away. So I have to be more cognizant and be more mindful of triggers and things that may happen in my life, in my relationship, and particularly with my husband, that may cause me to react or respond in a way that's not godly. It takes a very bold person to be able to do that. It takes a very humble person to do that. Because me being the assertive, self-righteous at times, prideful person that I can be, I don't want to look at that and I don't want to say that that's an issue. But my husband is the one that pointed it out, as he often does, right? You're still dealing with this, or you're still dealing with that, or you need to deal with this. No, I'm not. And then God said, yes, daughter, you got to deal with that. And it's not that you're unhealthy, it's not that there's something wrong with you, but you have to start putting the pieces together and seeing how you're responding and reacting in this environment when things don't necessarily go your way. When he may raise his voice, and to me, that's a trigger. So you raise your voice, I'm raising my voice, and we're going to go toe to toe. But that's not the way to respond, right? That's not the way to respond. So 2 Corinthians 5:17, one of my favorite verses, it says, put on the new nature and take off the new nature. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here. And now because we are a part of the royal priesthood, and now because we have been adopted into the family of God, because we have now been redeemed, we have to constantly take off the old nature. Because that old nature is still there. And she wants to rile up. She wants to have her way. She wants to tell you all her mind. You know, she wants to do what she wants to do. So we have to be able to realize that. Hebrews 12:1 says, wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily take advantage of us. If you ask yourself the question, what sin is in my life? Do I still have tendencies to lie and to be manipulative and to be deceitful and to allow my anger to get out of control? Because there's nothing wrong with being angry. It's an emotion. It's a valid emotion. But the issue is what you do with the anger. How does the anger control you? How does the anger control your marriage or relationship? And anger is a secondary emotion. So before we can say, I'm angry, you have to ask yourself, where did that anger come from? There's a layer that's beneath that anger. That's where that layer can be rejection. That layer can be abandonment. That layer can be neglect. You've experienced neglect from somebody that you love, was close to you. That layer can be so many things, betrayal. So that prolonged turns into anger. And now you're angry. And now on top of that, now you're lashing out. Are you responding in a way that's not godly? So for a long time I dealt with rejection. Rejection as a result of an ex-boyfriend that I had, and I dealt with abandonment as a result of my father passing away. Because although my father died, I was abandoned. That's abandonment. He left me. My ex left me and left me to raise my son all by myself. That's abandonment. And although we don't want to face those things, we don't want to look at that because we raise our kids and we're fine, and now we're in a different place, or I'm fine, I'm married now, and I have children, and I'm great. But you still deal with that. That's a traumatic experience. And for me, my father died just out of the blue. Out of the blue. He went to the doctor. He was working on his truck, and he injured his hand. He went to the doctor. He had diabetes, and they let him go. Being a diabetic patient, they should have kept him and monitored him for 24 hours. But being a stubborn man, as most men that he is, he went home. And the next week, he died. We believe, we were too young to even ask my mom to do an autopsy and things of that nature, but we believe there was a virus or some type of infection that happened as a result of that injury. But of course, they're saying, oh, he had a heart attack. But of course, it's going to cause a heart attack at that point, But yeah, so that was sudden. And I was 17 years old. I didn't have a close relationship with my father because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. But boy, did I grieve him. I grieved him after the fact. And I didn't realize how much I missed him, how much I needed him, and how much I wanted him until he was gone. So that was a traumatic experience for me. But as many of us, what we do after traumatic experiences, we try to just do life. We try to go about just doing life. I was at the hand of a guy that was almost choking me to death, and I almost died on several occasions. And after that, I tried to do life, and like things were fine. But you have to deal with those issues. You have to continue to deal with those issues and see how they're affecting your life. So every sin, and I said all of that to say every sin and everything that's a part of your life, as a result of those things, we have to let those things go. We have to set them aside. And how we do that? We submit ourselves to God, right? Submit yourself to God. Resist the devil. What do I mean by resisting the devil? When things are showing up in your marriage, that attitude, that mindset, even that will, you wanting to act out or do something that you know is not godly, we have to resist the enemy. But let me tell you something. You won't be able to resist him if you don't understand him. You don't want people to resist him if you're not aware of his tactics and his ways. You won't be able to resist him if you don't have a relationship with God. I'm not talking about going to church on Easter Sunday. I'm not talking about going to your little Bible study during the week. I'm talking about our relationship with God. I'm talking about you getting up every single morning and you going before the Father. You spending time in his word. Why do I say in the morning? Because Jesus got up in the morning before day came. He got up and he went into a place of solidity and he went and he prayed. So as he is, we are, and we are to be the example. We are to emulate his characteristics, his personalities, the things that he did. So that's why we get up in the morning. Is it a sin to pray at night? Absolutely not. But when you get up in the morning, it's something about that morning. It's something about being able to command your day, command your morning, being able to set the tone and the atmosphere for everything that's going to happen in your life that day because you are in control. You are in charge. And God gives you that authority. So why not get up in the morning? Why not get up in the morning? I recently started getting up at 4 a.m. I used to get up between 5:15 and 5:30. I said, you know what, God, I want to get up at 4 a.m. because I want to spend time with you, and then I want to take care of my temple, which is a further act of worshiping. Because as I'm taking care of the body, the being that he gave me, I'm worshiping him with my temple. And I'm setting the tone for my day. And what I can tell you, I just started that this week at 4 a.m. I've been feeling a whole lot different. I'm more refreshed, more refined, more refueled, more clarity, more peace of mind. I'm like, God, I'm in this space with you, and I'm loving this space. But my issue, I need to get to bed at night. So I don't have a problem getting up, but there's a problem going to bed at night sometimes. So 2 Corinthians 4:7, but we have this treasure in this earthen vessel. Do you know that you're treasured? You're valuable? Guess what? Your husband is also. He's treasured. He's valuable. So the same way we look at ourselves, we have to look at them as well. And I know sometimes they do things, they say things that we don't like or we don't agree with, but they're a soul. Somebody say soul. Do you remember when you were lost? Do you remember you were out there in the world of sin, doing whatever you wanted to do, with whoever you wanted to do it with? And you were just praying and hoping that you didn't die in your mess. You were just praying and hoping that you didn't get caught, right? You were praying and hoping that your family would forgive you or people would still want to connect with you because of the things that you were doing. They were not pleasing in God's sight. They were not pleasing in others' sight. So when you look at your husband, although we all are imperfect, and you look at him and you try to blame him or try to find fault with him, you have to look at him as he is a soul. In the same way that God forgives you, God forgives him. The same way God loves you, God loves him. The same way that God has grace pays on you, God also has on him. You're equal in that regard in the eyes of God. God doesn't put him at no higher level than he places you. Although your spiritual principles may be different, or your spiritual practices, I guess I should say, may be different. Maybe you do get up in the morning. Maybe you are the one going to church more often. Maybe you are doing these things, but it's okay. Because you can be the demonstration of love, of joy, of peace in the sight of your husband. You can be that Jesus that he never ever sees, he never ever even goes to church and be a part of beyond Easter Sunday, beyond Christmas, or beyond when the children have different events. You can be that person for him. But you have to be able to identify those areas of your life in addition to your spiritual walk. You have to work on that in order to be that person for him and more. So, we want to pull out our treasure today. And this activity that we're going to do, the genogram, so we're just going to start here, two of them. We're going to start passing that off, and then I want you guys to get started. So listen now, this is not a fault-finding activity. Because we can look at this and we can say things about mom, we can say things about our father, and we can say things about our siblings and our grandmother and our grandfather. But this is not about finding fault. Instead, this is about having a realistic view of healthy versus unhealthy mindset, emotions, and behaviors. This is about us promoting growth because we want what? Better communication, right? We want to be better in intimacy. This is about igniting your healing. This is about your maturity. And this is about you embracing your identity in Christ. This is what this is about. Okay? So let's go deeper, you guys. So here you have the genogram. Right? It's normally about 45 minutes, but we're not going to take that long. So let me get anyone. You have enough? Okay. So what I want you guys to do, so you see a symbol sheet. Everybody has a symbol sheet, yes? Okay, so you have the genders, so we'll know how to fill it out. So it's like a family tree, but more extensive, right? We're going a little deeper than just listing people that were in our family. And today what I want us to particularly focus on is identify emotional patterns of behavior, mental patterns of behavior, because you know you have Uncle Johnny, and people used to say, no, I'm telling you Johnny, but you have Uncle Paul, and my uncle, okay, you have Uncle Paul, and people would say, oh, Uncle Paul is crazy. He's just crazy. Uncle Paul probably had a mental illness that nobody ever identified. Or you had Uncle Everett that you didn't let around your kids, but Uncle Everett still came to all of the family events. Uncle Everett, he could come over as long as the other adults were there, but Uncle Everett used to touch little girls or touch little boys. So we want to start thinking about that, and this could be a moment of healing. And again, this is not about fault finding, but this is about identification. This is about identification because you have to see how these things relate to you. So we're going to work on the emotional, the mental, any relationship styles or patterns that you've seen, any addictions that may be present, because I know alcoholism runs deep in my family on both sides, hence why I don't drink and I had to give up drinking, right? So I want you to be able to identify those areas so then you can begin to work on them from here, right? So you have your gender, male, female. So a male is always square, a female is always circle. A transgender person, female to male, is a square, then circle, and vice versa with the other. And then you have your family relationships. So it would be, I want you to do your mother and your father. So in that first bar right here, this is grandmother and grandfather. So you can do that, but if you don't have that information, you're going to do your mother and your father. So your father and your mother, you see that middle area? Your father and your mother. You might can't see them here because it is a little small. And then you would be as a result of your father and mother. So this is your father and their mother, and then that's you in the yellow box. Do you see that? You guys see that? Now you know your information for your grandmother and your grandfather. You can put that there. So that would be the first portion. Grandmother, grandfather on your side. Grandmother, grandfather on your husband's side. That's how that goes.
So we're just putting their names?
Yeah, we're just putting their names. You can put their names and put their ages for right now. So grandmother, grandfather on your side, and grandmother, grandfather on your husband's side, if you have that information. So then your mother and father is going to go right underneath here where it says father, your father here, and then your mother there. So your father would go under his parents, make sense? And then you would go under, your mother would go under her parents. So father would go under his parents, and mother would go under her parents. So then there's you, right? And besides you, that's where your husband goes. You know how mommy goes? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense? Am I making sense, you guys? Okay. So grandparents, his grandparents, your father, mother, and then you. I say that right? Your father parents, your mother parents, then you. I'm sorry. Your father parents, your mother parents, then you, and then your husband goes here. Make sense? Okay. Now, if you have any siblings, you can list those siblings beside you. There's not enough room, but if you want to just list them, I would say list them between you and brother, because you're not going to have enough space. We're not going to really get into sister-in-laws and all that stuff right now. We really want to get into you and your direct bloodline. So you can list your father, you can list your sister. You can list your brother, or you can list your sister on the side there. And if they are married, you can put them, but again, you have more time to do this at home, and I can also email you this as well. So you guys got that? So your father's parents, your mother's parents, you, your husband, and your siblings. And if they have spouses, you can put that too. You done, Tiffany? Okay, fast. Okay. Now, if you have any children, I want you to go ahead and put your children, say son and daughter, so you may have multiple, you can draw another line, or you can just list them there. But go ahead and list your children down there. Let me know when you're done. Okay. You had a question? Okay. Too long. Okay. But write it, if you remember, write it down. I'm gonna answer it.
It was something along the lines of, I've been single 45 years, and I've had my own habits. Because I get married, those habits don't just go away. I've never lived with anyone before. I've never shared finances with anyone before. So everything is like me, what you looking over here for? You stay over there.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes hard to get out of that single-mindedness.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard.
Yeah.
Where my husband was married before, and so he knows exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And he's more organized, like he puts his bills on the table.
Yeah.
And he goes A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Well, I only have to manage me. So I don't have to do A, B, C, D, like I have it or I don't.
Yeah.
And I keep everything in my head.
Yeah.
And then as I started taking on more responsibilities, I can't remember mom and dad stuff. Can't remember my brother and sister stuff, and they're all relying on me. And so you start following, you forget. Because you're taking on so many responsibilities. And oh my God, a baby coming into the equation, you get mommy brain for life.
Yeah, right.
I can't take care of nobody else's things.
Right.
So if you were saying something along my habits, and I said, well, they
Right.
don't just go away.
No, they don't. No.
And I still did that because you're taught when you're single to be independent and take care of yourself. And then you have someone who wants to take care of you who's doing that. But sometimes you don't want that because you've been taught, I got it, I can do this. So it's hard to put that down sometimes.
And there's a trust, like thereof, factor there as well, trusting that you will. Because again, you've been single for 45 years and you trusted yourself, right? I can take care of me. Now somebody comes into the equation and saying, okay, honey, you don't have to do this anymore. You still wanting to trust in yourself. But you have to learn how to coexist and commingle, right? And that's where that oneness comes from. The Bible says that when a husband leaves his father and his mother, he cleaves, he's joined to his wife. It's his responsibility to love you with all of his heart. It's his responsibility to love you out loud. So what does that look like? That looks like, taking care and doing other things. So you just have to let him find out where that area is, why, right? Beyond being single. Find out why. Why do I not want to let my guard down and allow him come in? Right. But that's his way, right? And he's different from you. And you have to respect that, right?
We are opposites.
Yeah, I get it.
When I say opposites, he's actually right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of laid back and low key. It would hurt my feelings if I said something to you that was harsh. I'm like, oh my God, where'd that come from? And he was the captain at the prison for those enemies.
Yeah.
So his tongue is slick.
Yeah.
That doesn't go away because you retire.
No.
And he was retired from the Air Force.
Yeah.
And so my disposition is, I wish I had said that argument. I wish I could think quick. And then he said, you know what, my military career probably would have gone much further if I had your poise.
Yeah.
So we kind of complement each other
Right.
in that sense. I like the idea that he's responsible and he's the head. Fine, be the head. I love that because I'm don't have to be in control all the time.
Yeah,
But sometimes it's just hard to sit back and relax.
yeah, yeah,
Because you still want to see things go and unfold or not falter.
yeah.
So that's hard. Even if it's not hard.
Yeah, and you can implement that in other areas. So not in your marriage more so because if he's taking the bulk of that and he's controlling that aspect of it, maybe you can implement that in other areas. And being a mentor, doing other things that will still allow you to use those skills that you have and that experience that you have and pour it into other people versus trying to be that in your marriage because you don't need to be that in that space and it's okay. Right? It's okay. And with those habits, they don't. So you just have to learn how to manage those things. You have to learn how to cope, and not lash out or not want to be in control or not say, oh, I wish I could do this or I wish I could do that. But knowing how do I manage my emotions? How do I manage my life? And working on yourself is the best way you can do that. That's why I always say, always work on you. We can look at, the other people around us and want them to change and things of that nature. But the better we are, the better not only our marriages, but the better the people around us will become as well. Because we're an influence to those individuals as well. So, okay, so everybody done? Mm-hmm. All right. So if your parents are divorced, you're going to, between your parents, where it says father, mother, you're going to put 2 lines if they're divorced, right? If your parents are separated, you're going to put 1 line. If your parents never married, what you're going to do is just do a hyphenated type line. So if you see over here where it may say estranged or distant, you can just hyphenate, but just put that on top, like in between where it says father and mother, so you can distinguish that. Now, if your parent is deceased, you're going to put an X in their box. So if any parent is deceased, you're going to put an X in their box. Like for my father, I would have an X where it says father and mother. There would be an X there for my father. Okay. So now what I want you guys to think about is we're not really a lifespan per se, but what I want you to think about is any type of emotional abuse, mental abuse, or mental disorders that may have been present or may not have identified, but you know were there. Any issues, start thinking about any addictions that may have came from your parents, on your grandparents, on down to your parents, and now you may even experience. Think about mismanagement of money or how you even think about money. And I'm just going to tell you, for us, it isn't money, right? So I had a father that spent what he did not have. All of his siblings were like that as well. They spent what they did not have, right? I want to say his parents did that as well, but his parents died when he was a young boy, right? They spent money that they did not have. So me and my sisters all have a different concept when it comes to money. I have one sister that's scared to be broke or scared to be in debt. So she has a scarcity mindset when it comes to abundance because she tries to hold on to everything that she has. I have another sister that does not know how to say no. Right? I have me that does not know do not know how to say no, but thank God with the allowance is forcing me to learn how to say no and learn how to not be as loose with my money. And then I have another sister that manages a little better, but she also does not know how to say no and not know how to say no to investments. So she'll spend tens and thousands of dollars on certain things. So all of us have a different mindset as it relates to money, and it's not necessarily a good mindset, right? Again, mismanagement, mishandling, misinvesting. Spending money, honestly, that we do not have and not really looking at the future of our lives in a sense where we need to put stuff away or invest, in the right way and things of that nature. So that's what it is for my family. And also with the addiction. Alcoholism, again, it runs deep in both of my bloodlines. And all of my sisters and myself all had our experience with alcohol. And today, none of us drink for those very reasons, right? Because there were addictions. We were a little too kind, as recently like to say kind to sin. We were a little too kind to sin, a little too kind to alcoholism, and thinking that it was not a big deal. But when we look back at our bloodline, we realized that was an issue, right? It wasn't just having a drink of wine, it was having drinks of wine and getting drunk and, acting outside of character because of alcohol. So it definitely was an issue. So I want you guys to just begin to think. We're going to take about 5 minutes. And I want you to think about that. And what you're doing is just writing beside your family member. So if that's your grandmother, if that's your grandfather, your mother, father, you can put addiction. You don't have to put alcoholism. You can put addiction. You can put money. You can put relationship style. So if you're seeing, if you're not communicating effectively in your relationship, and you saw that in your parents, and you saw that in your grandparents, then maybe that's something that's a trend in the family. Make sense? Yes.
what if the addiction is something that I saw as a child, but now that I'm an adult? See, my dad, he had addiction to alcoholism, but he's not in that space now. Should I still list that
Yes.
for him?
Yep, we still listen for him, because that was something that he did struggle with. And with us as children, we can go either way. We can gravitate toward it, because that's what we saw, or we can be so fearful of it to whereas we gravitate away from it, because that's what we saw. Even with my son, I see him with money, spending money he does not have, and that's when it really started getting real for me, and I really started looking at it, and I'm like, this is an issue. And I'm constantly trying to tell him, don't do this and don't do this, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. I don't want you, this credit card he got and all this, I got this credit card. I'm like, you don't need it. Leave it alone. Give it back to the bank, because I already understand that when you are in the mindset, I can get what I want, and I don't, it's credit, you're going to spend it, you're going to max it out, and then you're going to be around here like, oh my God, now I have to pay $300, $400, $500 a month on a stupid credit card when I could have just paid cash. So I'm trying to help him to, reverse some of those behavior patterns, because that's what it was, that I had, and the mindset that I had and my parents had as it relates to money, so he don't fall victim to some of the same things that we fell victim to, right? So I hope he's listening. Yes. You have a question?
Oh, I was thinking, my parents were very, very good at investing. They were very forward thinking, and then I didn't develop the habits that they had.
You didn't?
Not all of them. They were very, very good at saving, putting away, investing, teaching us things. And then it seemed like when I got on my own, I'm doing everything I had my eyes set on. I got it, and I did it, and I said I'll deal with that later.
Yeah.
But my parents were not like that. They were not at all. I mean, they were big on saving and big on teaching, exposing, investing. And I did some.
So what made you go the opposite way?
I have no idea.
Was it because you felt restricted? You felt restricted your entire life, and that you couldn't spend, you couldn't have?
Because I had a very privileged life. So it wasn't like I couldn't or did. And my father even, I remember my first job, whatever I made, he said, put your check away and I'll give you more money. So if I made $80 that week, I put it in the bank, he would match it and give it to me.
But that's why you are the way you are.
But you had to save it,
Yeah.
and then you had to be tied. And I can remember being in, 10 years old, so 5th grade, and getting $5 for allowance and paying my tithe out of that. And that always was prepared on Saturday night. And I did that up until I was grown. And then when I stopped, oh my gosh, why did I ever do that? That was a trick. The enemy was busy.
Yeah.
You can use that money for something else.
Right.
Man.
But what I'm saying is that's the way you are, and it could be on a bad and a good note, because now you're at the point, or you were at the point, I'm not sure if you're still there, whereas, okay, my dad told me to put my check away, and I can just spend his money. So now you got that concept, I can just spend money. And although, yes, my parents were good at money and they invest and they save, now I'm at a place where I can just spend money. So that is a pattern of behavior, because your mindset is telling you that I've always been in a place where I can spend money. I've always been in a place where I had the advantage, or I had the upper hand as it relates to having a privileged life. So now I'm still in that space, and things may be a little different for you now, or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But now I need to see what I need to do differently, because my life is not my parents, right? There's a different concept, there's a different way that I have to go about doing things. So that would actually be one of the patterns of behavior.
Shift.
Yeah. You
I
went the other
was
way?
single, I worked 3 jobs, I just did it.
Right.
And then I was fine with that. Then I got married and had a baby. I'm like, ooh, can't work 3 jobs with a family.
Yeah.
So it's like shift, adjust. And
Yeah.
I'm in it.
All right, everybody's done?
Yes.
Did you learn something about yourself?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about it a little bit. You don't have to say names because this video is being recorded, but again, it's on me. It's not on you guys. But so what did you find out? Anybody want to share?
Well, and we're going to be transparent, yes.
Okay.
I realized by drawing a little house and making a little dot between Oliver Reth, my grandfather, but he wasn't my grandfather, and my grandmother, and I say his name too long, he's dead, nobody noticed. Well, I realized that they were cohabitating, and when she died, he moved back to Texas, and he never made mention of my grandmother. And his first wife was there because they were still legally married. And although my mother lost my father
Mhm.
when he was 42 years old, she was left a widow with 5 kids. She had a problem, and I don't see a particular box for OPP, but other people's property
Mhm.
or other people's husbands, if y'all want to be honest. And I realized before I end up married with the man I have now,
Mhm.
I had a tendency for going after a really unavailable man.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it took a second, and almost every hair stood up on my body when I made the connection
Wow.
and the reason, and I would have never ever
Thought
thought,
about it. Yeah.
and that's a huge one.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And indirectly, I think that's the reason why I'm so afraid with my marriage, because I'm expecting karma to come full circle, and that younger me will be at that door knocking
Right.
and begging for my husband. Although my husband have never ever set up in his whole entire life, I was like, it's the first time for everything, and I really do have that fear. And I never realized why I had that fear until this
Just now.
paper.
Right.
It was like an aha moment.
Right. But we're coming against that because that's not going to happen. And
Sure.
I just feel that after this, we're going to pray because this can open some things, right? Like she said, she never even realized it. It like a light bulb went off. Like, wow, this is why. So we have to deal with the trust factor. You have to trust him to love you and know that he would never ever do that to you. No karma is not going to come back on you. You've already asked for forgiveness. God has already redeemed you, and that's you didn't know any better. Although you knew spiritually, you didn't know, right? Because I knew, how you guys grew up in a different spirituality and things of that nature. So don't allow that fear to now consume you and thinking that that's going to come back at my household full circle, because it's not. It's not. Anybody else want to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
So, because I'm in the mental health space, I do like a lot of
Yeah.
self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I recently realized about myself, my mom is very, very forgiving and has always had very poor boundaries when we were growing up. We were living on the projects and kind of struggling, and she would go to church and come back with a family to live with us, or go to the store and come back with a homeless drug or something. So always had very, very poor boundaries. So as a result, naturally, I kind of just accept things, and it takes a lot for me to be assertive and stand up for myself. And I will give in very easily to what other people are saying or doing, because for me, I've never had to really think about my preferences. I never really got what I wanted. So whatever everybody else wants, that's okay. So it takes a lot of work for me, even in my marriage. Now, recently, me kind of getting older and standing up and saying, hey, and my husband is 17 years older than me, so standing up and saying, hey, this is what I prefer. Like, I don't like that, or I don't want that. And being able to vocalize those things, but that takes a lot of work for me to do that. So, yeah.
That's good. Thanks for sharing. This was good. You guys enjoying this?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share? We'll do one more.
I'll share.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it today that a lot of my dad's ways was from my grandfather, who is deceased. But from down to all through addiction, relationship, my grandmother and my mom, they don't have a close relationship. I don't even know about my mom's side of the family. And I realize even down to this day, that's how that's going. Like, me and my grandma is not even talking right now. So the relationship style, my dad, mom, everything that I'm actually going through, they went through.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, like, relationship definitely. Like, my mom, she's not, she shows no emotions, but I know she has emotions. And I'm kind of like her, I just take what I get. I don't really speak out. And, but yeah, I see that. I got it now.
So what are we going to do with this information going forward, right? How are we going to take this information, even with relationships? So it may not be, it will affect the marriage at some degree, but we may need to make right and wrong. We may need to go back and reconcile some relationships. We may need to reestablish or establish some relationships. We need to have some conversations with parents or grandparents or our husbands, or we may need to have a conversation with ourselves. We may need to ask for forgiveness for ourselves, right? Forgiving ourselves for things that we may have allowed or the things that we may have done, and now is affecting our marital relationship. So how we're going to use it going forward, and how it's not going to control the marriages, because now we have identified, right? There's that identification there. Now we've discovered today that there are some things that are in our lives, and it's not our fault. If I can say that, you know, it's not our fault. You know, these are things that were there, and we were present, and we were just going through life and trying to figure it all out, and trying to be the best wives, and the best moms, and the best friends, and being the best, but not having that inside information, not having that intel is what I like to say. And not really thinking about it, because many of us know, oh, my dad drunk a lot. Oh, okay, whatever. But when you start to really look at it, and look at his father, and his grandfather, and his brothers, and his sisters, and, you know, that's a problem. This is a real problem here. So then the self-reflection piece comes in, and I like to do this through journaling. How many of you guys journal? Good. Continue to do that. Continue journaling and just writing out your feelings, or writing out what's going on and why it's going on, writing out your emotions, writing out some things that are on your mind. More observant. Be more observant. One of the very reasons why I do not drink, because I'm very observant to the fact that my father was too kind to the bottle, right? And I don't want that to be my story. And besides, the Holy Spirit's like, nope, that's not for you. But I found myself wanting to go to happy hour. Sanctified, speaking in tongues. Oh, I need a drink. I want to go to happy hour. If I was finding happiness in a bottle, and I thought that a bottle would give me peace and relax me after a long day, then I was messed up in that regard. That's a misconception. If I have the Holy Spirit is my peace, right? He's the one that gives me the calmness and allows me to quiet all the activity and things that are going on. He is that person. It's not a bottle. It's not any other substance abuse, but it's him. And then for awareness, right? We have to understand what these things are. So you can do your own research, or you can, talk to a professional to find out more, a counselor in particular, what you need to do and how you need to cope and manage these areas of your life. How do I cope and manage? You know, I have a couple therapists. I have a bonus therapist, but I have a couple that I actually go to and I talk to on a regular basis. I go through acupuncture. I do things to try to calm my space, calm my energy, because we're energetic people. We're made of energy. Did y'all know that? Our body's made of energy. So we have all this stuff and all these activities and things that are going through in our life, in our mind, our emotions at any given moment. And if we're not doing things to quiet this person, quiet that inner person, then we can go boom for go house. You know, then that is space and opportunity for mental disorders. Am I right, sis? So we have to know how to manage it, cope. And then counseling or other professional help. And then once you go through all of these areas, then healing can begin. And I want to strongly encourage, again, you know, there may be some relationships that you need to go back to, or that you may need to begin, so that healing can take place as well. Because at no point there should be any type of estranged relationship, especially when you're talking about your close family, your immediate siblings and parents and grandparents and things of that nature. And I know a lot of times, especially in the Black community, like, I don't talk to my sister, I don't talk to my brother. And people used to say that, I'm like, what? And my sisters are my best friends. Like, you don't talk to your sister? Like, how do you talk to your sister? I'm not talking about anybody here, but I've heard that throughout the years. I'm like, how can you not talk to your sister? You know, especially if you grew up in the same house together, right? Same mom, same dad. It is understandable when children are on the outside, because that's a little harder, because you may not have really grown up with those kids, and they may seem a little disconnected. But, you know, I believe that, you know, growing up, we were told that my father had another child. I don't know how true that is or not, but I just recently said to my sisters, like, if there's another child out there, like, we need to find her. Yeah. We need to find her, because it's supposed to be a girl, and we need to connect, and we need to let her know that we love her and that we're here. You know, I don't know if it's true, but that's what we were told. So I really need to do some soul searching and dating and ask my mom, you know, and it was before my mom, when he was in the military, like, is this true? So we can take the necessary action. Yes.
The part that you're talking about getting those relationships back with, you know, immediate family and stuff like that. Like right now, I'm going through between my father and my younger brother. There were some things that he felt that she didn't do as, you know, while we were growing up. And, you know, and I tell him, okay, you told her how you felt. She can't change the past, but she can go forward. But it's like he wants to stay in the past. Everything that's going on with him, he feels that it's a direct reflection because of what happened. But you're grown man, you're 34. You not having X, Y, Z is not always a result of your past, but of what you're doing. And so this past week, I wasn't even going to come because I was emotionally drained because of everything that's been going on this past week between, I feel like I'm the middleman. Everybody comes to me, my mom comes to me, but yada 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 about him, he comes to me, yada 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 about her, and I'm just like, I'm to the point I don't need to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be that way because that is my problem. But I'm just like, it's just so toxic for me.
Right.
Especially with him, it's just so toxic. He'll come around my spot and the whole energy just changes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just say, leave me alone, but I'm to that point.
Yeah.
Now, am I wrong for that? Or, I mean, I honestly want to keep that relationship now because he's not going to change who he is.
Yeah.
So therefore, I don't want you to bring that mess around my house with my children.
Right.
Because I don't have that energy, so I don't want you to come in with that as well.
Right. Are you wrong for that? No, you're not wrong for that because you are protecting your space. You are protecting your energy. You are protecting your children as you should, as the mother of anybody or anything that may try to come that will cause havoc or hell in their life. That's what you're supposed to do. Anything that's disrupting your peace, your joy, your happiness, you're supposed to protect that space. Now, your brother's hurting, right? He's in a place of unforgiveness. He's not wanting to forgive. And until he gets to the point where he is ready to forgive and not necessarily connect everything back to your mom. Yeah, some things may be related, right? Some things may be related. But when it comes to now you're 34 years old, now you can make decisions on your own. And the decision that he has to make at some point is forgiveness. He has to stop looking for an apology. He has to stop looking for an explanation as to why, whatever. He has to choose to forgive and whatever comes with that. Now, does he have to necessarily reconcile that relationship? No, he doesn't have to. Would it be in his best interest for his future wife? Is he married? So his probably wife is not. For his future wife, right? Yes, it will be in his best interest to forgive her, to release her from whatever, and so he can move on. See, him, right? Is he in the counseling? He needs to go to a counselor.
Oh, no, he doesn't need what he says. And I'm telling you, you need it. You absolutely need it. What he just
doesn't. There's nothing you can do in that regard. You can pray for him, and you can believe that God is going to speak with him directly, and even send people in his space or in his, in his close network to be able to help him in that regard. But until he is ready, and seriously, you want to give some points you can too, but until he is ready, he has to get to that point where he say, you know what, I'm choosing to forgive. And forgiveness does not look like I'm just letting her off the hook or whatever. It's a process, and there's steps that he'll have to take, but he was going to have this. The first thing is identifying that, okay, there's a problem. And not necessarily she's a problem. There's a problem because I'm still holding on to this. There's a problem that this is still here. Now then accepting the fact that I'm accepting that there's an issue, but I'm also accepting the fact that it's not my fault. That it didn't happen because of me, right? And then he has to move from that period and go through the journey of forgiveness. Even for men, journaling is still good. Self-reflection is still good. And definitely talking to somebody that's an unbiased person to be able to see, okay, this is why this is here. Giving him some options for him to be able to work through those things.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like they both trust you, so is it possible for you to facilitate a meeting? Because they're talking to you, but you're not really the problem. You're, like you said, you're the middleman. So maybe start seeding and, recommending that they potentially, I'm sure you have.
We've been there, done that.
Y'all have already had that, yeah.
We've been there, done that. But it just seemed like every time he was going through, that's when he comes back around. X, Y, Z. Oh, I'm going through this because, like, God, when you up, we don't hear from you. We don't see you. We don't talk about it. When you get down, now it's everybody's fault. Why are you this way?
And there may be some, I just feel this, depression.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
He
he might need
thinks
some
that
professional,
he,
yeah.
so he definitely, so we'll lift him up. You continue to lift him up. You continue to be the light. The last one was actually spiritual growth. I don't know where he is spiritually, but even that, see, but all that plays a part, right? All that plays together. Your spiritual growth, your mental health, your emotional health, all of those things work together. And when something is out of whack, then it's going to throw everything off. Your spirituality, of course, is going to be leading all of those other areas of your life. And you have to work on those things simultaneously. So until he's ready, all you can do is sometimes be a voice sometimes, right? You know, pray for him and speak life into him and continue to remain positive. But for your safety, mental and emotional wealth, you're going to have to draw back at times because you have your own things going on. You have your own children, you have your own life, you have, you know, things that you have to deal with, and you cannot allow yourself to be infected by that, even if it's a sibling. It is just
manipulates the whole, I don't have this and that, one of that, y'all should help me.
Yeah, no, that's not how life works. So listen, guys, we're coming to a close because I do have a special young lady. She's going to do a quick little presentation for you all. Just a few here. I do have some shirts over here. Listen, this is a liquidation sale today. I need to get rid of these shirts and these books. Everything is $10, and for you to share that 5-to-1 book would be great for you. We were talking about some things earlier, and I thought about you. But everything is $10, and you guys can look and see what you want, and we'll go from there. But this has been amazing, and I want you guys to take away this information and seeing how these things are showing up in your marriage, and then you committing to being different and doing something different. Remember we said do something different earlier? You continue to be and do something different because now you know, you have intel, you have this inside information, now you have to do something with it. So if that's how you show up in your marriage, if that's how you're showing up in your children, if that's learning to trust yourself, if that's learning to trust your spouse more, if that's learning to communicate better, and just being more open and honest with him as well. You know, a lot of us, we were single for a long time, and we don't want to tell, we don't want to share, I'm dealing with this, or I'm struggling with this, because we don't want to look like a weaker person, or we don't want them to view us in a certain way. But honestly, we should be able to be naked and unashamed and be vulnerable with our husbands. And be able to say, you know, I'm off. There's some things that I need counseling, or whatever it may be. We have to be honest with ourselves. I found out some things about myself, and I need to talk to somebody. I need to go deeper beyond this class. I need to go deeper beyond myself because I need help in this area. So if you take nothing else away from that, from this class today, that's what I want you to take away from it. And I want you to know that you are in charge of your healing process. You're in charge of your journey, and you are contributing to the success of your marriage as well. Because when you're well, several things I do to make sure that I'm well, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And by me doing those things, I'm taking that and I'm contributing that to my marriage being well as well. So, thank you.